Hi, and welcome back to Real Opinions, a spoiler-filled review of Split, and then going into general news. Besides that, we haven't got too much of a plan.
That's like our motto.
Yeah, I do repeat that basically every episode, but it's true. We planned very little for this thing. I hear some podcasts where they're like they start off, they have like a table of contents almost, and it's really heavily produced. Yeah, exactly. And it's like a proper show, and here it's just two idiots rambling for however long.
Well,
I edit.
This is like a behind the scenes thing, but I did that Legion review yesterday, and I should have just written something, because if I wrote something and then said it, it would have taken me a couple of hours. As it stood, I just kept starting it over and over again because I had no idea what I was saying. Like I kept saying the wrong show. That's how like unprepared I was. I just said like, and today I'm going to be reviewing, and then I'd say something different every time. Like one of the times I said The Flash, and I don't know why. So if one actually goes up, that was the best one. Of a very, very bad bunch.
I just did Fences review. I think it just went up. But there's a bit in it where I keep talking about the original play, although I only say play once, and then after that I keep saying the original film over and over again. And so I had to go through every single time and drop this one time I say play.
Oh, well, I listened to it.
Where I say original.
To be fair, I did not notice that. I did listen to the whole thing.
That's because it basically, for me, it was like hearing... Because when you edit, obviously, you notice the little things, but it was just like... and the great thing about the original play is that you play, and it sounds the exact same every single time.
Well, the Legion one I did, I just kept going in a loop talking about... Because I started talking about the editing, and I realised that I didn't know enough about the editing to really talk about it, and so it was just 2 minutes of vague rambling about how the editing was weird, and I just kept saying, it's very weird, it's so weird, and then the editing, it's just, it's so weird, and it's just, I was just on a loop, because couldn't really explain what I wanted to say, except it was weird.
I'm quite looking forward to watching it.
I think you'll like it.
After your...
because it to me, it feels like, you know, when people said Doctor Strange was so weird and different, and it was weird in that it had kaleidoscope images, and that was like about the extent of it. Like this feels properly weird. Like it's obviously still mainstream, but this is about as far as I've ever seen something mainstream go in that direction. This is the furthest I've ever seen a mainstream superhero thing go in terms of being unconventional and genuinely almost off-putting. Like, I can imagine a lot of people who are like expecting Flash, watching this and just going like, nope.
Yeah.
like there's just like the first 5 minutes is like, when people say something's like a music video, they usually just mean because it's playing a song and the song lasts for the duration of the scene. I mean, it looks and feels like a music video in the sense that it just cuts to random disconnected images, and it actually feels like a music video rather than just because there's a song playing. And I can see it being...
Okay.
And then it will have like weird dream sequences with avant-garde like editing and like weird lights strobing in your face and like just blasts of droning brass that sound like instruments tuning. So it's really kind of just loud and kind of unpleasant, and I can imagine people just really not liking that. But I did.
Did you ever watch any of Hannibal, that TV show? See, I kind of found in the later series it sort of went like that. It went very experimental with some aspects of it, mainly just the dream sequences. But it was starting to play with the stuff that, like in the review that you sent me, like it was starting to play with aspect ratio.
Oh, really?
The score was getting a bit more experimental as it went on, and like all becoming like the dreams were slowly mixing in with reality as it went on.
Yeah,
because obviously like the deaths got more and more over the top. And so it's interesting to hear that like it's being done with something even more mainstream.
Yeah.
Like obviously because superheroes is not as superheroes are much more accessible than serial killer thriller.
Yeah, definitely. Towards the end, I got the sense that it might end up heading in a more conventional way. I hope that doesn't happen, but it feels like it could, because at the end, this isn't that much of a spoiler. He meets other mutants, and it feels like they're going to start teaming up, and it might become a little less special. But I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know where it's going at all at the moment.
I think there's the balance, because I really liked the first series of Mr. Robot.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came around to the second series, I just found that people... Well, my assumption is that people praised it for its weirdness so much, and its differentness, is that it went too far in the second series, to the point where it kind of just alienated me, and I wanted it to move on with the plot, as opposed to just, like, enjoying its own style too much. And I think it was just when it finally got to, like, one episode for me, where it was about 20 minutes in, and they hadn't actually said anything important. It was just all about the style of it, and all about how wacky and weird it was, that I just ended up giving up with it, because I couldn't be bothered. So I don't mind if something gets more conventional, if it still has the occasional moments where it has a bit of flair, but I hate stuff when it goes too wacky, just because the creator thinks that they finally, I don't know, got something, like what they were doing was on the right track, so they should push things.
Well, the one thing that
I think there's a right balance.
The thing that makes it justified with Legion is because it's in his head, and because it's as chaotic and disjointed as everything is for him. So it doesn't feel pretentious. It feels like it actually has a purpose.
I don't know what his power is, what his connection is to anything, but I remember reading one comment in a review which I thought was genuinely interesting, which is the idea of it basically being like a TV show where it's about mental illness, but how would you define your mental illness if everything that you imagined could also become reality due to your powers, something like that. And I thought that was quite interesting, in that by imagining something, he's also creating part of that, like, craziness, which I thought was quite a cool thing to get into. Although I don't know how you could turn it into a full TV show plot.
I think you should at least give it a go, because it is different.
I'm glad we started off by saying that we wanted to talk about Split first, because we've not talked about it at all. We are doing spoilers for Split, by the way. Harrison does bookmarks now on YouTube for the podcast, so you can click to where we stop talking about spoilers if you don't want to listen to it. Yeah,
I'll do it. In case you want, like, the spoiler-free version, you've already done a video that's up on the channel that is a spoiler-free review, right? Yeah.
Legion was a kind of good segue, because Split is also a superhero film now about mental
Actually,
health.
That's quite true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. And Legion actually has basically the same illness. That he has the...
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's actually a lot more similar than I thought.
Just because this is a spoiler review, it doesn't mean we can't also talk about the main stuff. I mean, we can talk about characters and everything. Like, we don't have to just stick to just talking about the ending.
Well,
I mean, it's just basically open discussion, like we'd have to worry about what we're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think I more or less agreed with everything that you said. And this is becoming a kind of a trend for our reviews, but I agreed with you, but I'm a little less harsh about the exact same flaws that I share with you. I think that it started off quite good, and towards the middle I was genuinely really enjoying it. Then, once it gets into the slightly more sci-fi realm, I didn't mind, because that wasn't my problem. The fact that it took on the paranormal element. It was the fact that once it did take on the paranormal element, it just kind of felt rushed and a little bleh. A bit like, it's the same thing that I'd say about 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't mind that it turns into a sci-fi. It just, they kind of just do it, really rush it, and it felt kind of underwhelming.
Like, the genre change is a twist, as opposed to actually being a complete, like, change into the genre. Yeah. It's just like, now we're being this genre, but they don't actually do anything with it.
It's like, so he turns into the beast, and then what does he do? He comes home, kills a couple of people, gets chased.
But you don't even get to see him killing
you see him,
like, it's
one
not
of
even
them.
a tension building.
You see him kill one of them. The old lady. Yeah.
Oh, true.
But so he gets back, he kills a couple of people, they have a little chase, and then he and then he sees that she's been abused and goes, "I'll leave you," and that's it. It felt rushed and like there was no point to it. Like you might as well just not have done it unless you were going to devote more time to it and more effort to it. But up until that point, I was enjoying it quite a bit, and that is I hate when people always say that like a single performance carries a film, because I've never feel like I've seen a film where if it wasn't for just a performance, I wouldn't have enjoyed it, because I don't think...
As in, you think that someone could have done it instead of
what I was going to say was that I have never seen a film that I thought would be bad, but a single performance would have been enough to save it for me. This is probably the closest that I've ever come to that, though, because I do think if it wasn't for someone as good as James McAvoy, this could have just been M. Night standard again. But he is so good that this is the closest I've ever felt to one performance genuinely holding up a film. Because he is great. He's really, really great. And it's in like the way that you can just tell which character he's playing just from very tiny mannerisms, or just the crinkles in his forehead and things like that. He does it very, very well. And in particular, I loved the scene where he was... I don't remember the names of any of the personalities, but where he was playing the kind of one with OCD, pretending to be the fashion designer one.
Yeah.
That stuff was great, when it was like not only which identity am we talking to, but these identities are aware of each other, can impersonate each other and things like that. That was cool. And it must have been such a great thing for an actor to get to do. Like that's one really cool opportunity. Like you're playing a character pretending to be another character that you also play. And he does it very well.
I think that if they did more of those kind of scenes, I would have loved the film more.
Yeah.
Just because, like you said, you don't... Typically when I hear that, this performance carries a film, it's not so much that it's carrying the film.
It's the best part.
Like you said, it wouldn't be terrible without it. Yeah, it's just the best part by far. Like, it's the focus point of everything. But I think if they just realised that he was the selling point, it would be much better, as opposed to the typical... where they get into the explanation of why he's the way he is. I don't really need to know. Like, I don't need to hear about all the... I don't need to be, well, as I said in the review, lectured at, like, about, oh, isn't it amazing how people are like that? It's like, no, well, I could just accept it. And just give me more cool stuff to watch. Anyway.
I did think as well that he did do this... Because the first time he comes out as Hedwig, it's very, very hard not to laugh.
Yeah,
But eventually, I did sort of just go with it, and once it was a Hedwig scene, I stopped laughing, and it was... And that scene where he danced, that just made me think of you, because he said that he likes Kanye, and I just was imagining you.
I think that they definitely, like, they did a really... It was a good point to make... that you're laughing with Hedwig, as opposed to, like, as in the film knows that Hedwig's ridiculous. Like the dance scene is the bit. Like, it's not that you're not meant to take it seriously. Like, he's a kid now. Completely take it seriously. Exactly. Like, it's meant to be stupid.
Because in the trailer, I did not get that impression. I thought that was meant to be creepy, and I was like, oh no, but it is meant to be funny.
Yeah, and I think they kind of tried to turn him into a bit of a creepier character near the end, which I don't think entirely worked. But, I mean, I think he was good as the kind of, the treacherous part of his personality. Like I said, where I like that they can kind of convince Hedwig to do something, but the other personalities don't know. Or don't, like, he's going against the other personalities by them tricking him, which I quite like.
I would have liked to have seen, because he does give such a great performance, and I've seen interviews with him, and he's talked about how, there's that bit where you see the video diaries of all the performance, of all the different personalities.
Yeah.
He did them for all, however many there are. Was it 20, 23?
24. 24 including the Beast thing. Yeah.
I wish I saw more of them, because you only see like 4 personalities for the whole film, really. The OCD guy.
That pissed me off.
The OCD guy, the Patricia, the fashion designer, Hedwig, and then I guess the Beast. You get to see a little bit of one of them when he's on the video diaries. The one where he's like a Is he a teenage girl or something? That's what I kind of
Yeah,
inferred.
sort of like that.
But that's like at best 6 out of these 24 that you told us about. Like, why tell us there's 24? Just say there's 6 or whatever.
That's the thing, is that's what really annoyed me, because it's the fact that they set it up as 24. It wasn't just the fact that they nonchalantly like bring it up at some point in the film, like almost, because if you just kind of bring it up in passing in the film, it could be almost like a sequel thing, I suppose. Or not that I want that, but I mean it could just be a thing. Whereas they actually brought it into the marketing.
Yes.
Like it was he has 23 personalities, the 24th's going to come out soon. And like, why were you pushing so much that he's got 23 when you only, like you said, you only see 5?
So why don't just tell me he has 5? Like, doesn't matter.
It's just a case of they're trying to make it seem even crazier than it is, but there's no reason for it to actually be in the script. Someone having 6 personalities to me is still crazy. It's just not as ridiculous as 24. And there's on
the subject of things that I didn't quite understand, I didn't really understand why Hedwig was like that. Hedwig kept saying that like he was in charge or that he had power over the others. I don't really know what power he had over the others or why he had it or what it meant.
It was strange how I kind of got how they described who takes control. Like they described it like it's a room full of chairs, and one person stands in the light. Yeah. And then they said Benny can control the light, which is why he's the main one in control. But then Hedwig can also take the light whenever he wants. And that he's giving it to the others as well. So, and it was very confusing, because I think it was just another thing of it was another Shyamalanism where you have to make something preposterous but also explain it half-heartedly, so that for half people they'll just go like, yeah, I got it, it's a light. If someone's in the light, that means they're in control. But for the rest of people, they're just like, but why? How does this all work interconnect like together? That makes no sense. What do the others just sit there waiting and do nothing when they want to? I
wasn't expecting the personalities to know what they were. Like I thought that he'd just do a complete personality change and be someone else. But those personalities know what they are and what purpose they actually serve. And that meant, I don't know, I found it weird when they were explaining, like you said, explaining the whole Lightroom thing. Because I just thought, is that how it works? I know it's not meant to be, like, real or in any way, accurate. It's basically a sci-fi film by the end. But I just thought, why do they know what they are? That doesn't seem like that's how something like that would work.
Because I think what they typically do with the kind of mixed personality thing is that they keep it, like you said, like they don't know what they are. So you don't have to get into the whole idea of how do they communicate, because when you have that and they all know that each other are personalities and you see scenes of them like talking out loud between each other, how do I know how much each one knows about the other, and how, like when the 22 other ones aren't in control, what are they doing? Are they just literally sitting in darkness with no input whatsoever? Like, how are they not aware of what the other people are doing? Because they, like they said, they tried to trick Hedwig into doing something that the others don't know about. So what are the others just doing while they're just sat there waiting? Like, they all sounds like they all have their own personal agendas and they all want to be in control sometimes, and they can push themselves into control, and they all have jobs to do. It's just, I mean, I know that you can just argue with the fact that it's illogical because one, it's false, and two, it's about like mental illness, which you can't really define down to a T. But it's just, I would, when it gets down to the sci-fi stuff and the fantasy stuff, I want a bit of understanding. Yeah. Like, if someone has an ability, I think you've got to put a limit on it, and you've got to make understanding when it's an ability as opposed to just an illness.
I think as well, the whole them knowing what they are thing just felt more like it was there so that they could communicate things to us in a easier, lazier way. Because like you have the character go like, I was born because whatever his name needs me, Kevin needs me because this happened to him and that made me happen. And it's I don't need that so obviously communicated. I don't need the personality to literally come up and tell me what its origin was and what it symbolizes. Like, he literally came in and went, he needs me because I'm tidy and he needs someone to be tidy and controlling, and it felt very, very like you could have told me that in a much, much, much subtler way rather than having the personality literally analyze itself on camera for me.
And then, with that description as well, it almost makes it like he's using them like a Swiss Army knife of like people that he can change personalities to fit whichever job he wants. But at the end, he's not in control anymore. So how is he creating these personalities? Did he create these evil personalities? Because he's like, I need to be evil at this point. Like, I'll create that, and then he just lost control and didn't realize. And also, does that mean that the personalities can make personalities as well?
Oh my god!
Like, how deep does that rabbit hole go?
Oh my god!
And also, I can understand, like, so he wants to make like a tidy person. But why does he now need 23 different people in order to do basic tasks or something like that?
Because
like he just had to make a personality that's really good at washing clothes.
Because
he made one
because
like that.
he was abused, and that makes you stronger.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. I thought that was going to be a twist at the end. I want to know if you think that, but I thought they were going to at the end they were going to say that she had multiple.
No, that's honestly what I was expecting, because every time it kept cutting back to her tragic past. I was like, oh, so she's maybe all the other girls were her, or maybe she's someone else, and that's a twist. But no, it was just you were sexually abused, and that means you're better than everyone. So I'm going to let you live. Yeah. It's very. I don't know why I needed to see any of that stuff. Like, I get, okay, she had a dark history, but you could have. I didn't need 300 flashbacks to her uncle diddling her to get that.
It did feel a bit like padding, although I did find that those scenes were just, they were consistently at least well done, so I didn't mind that, as in they were better done than, when it got later into the film, the flashbacks were better made than the film I was watching, so I didn't mind that so much. But also, I think it sort of gave reason to why the girls slowly lose clothing throughout the film. They didn't stop it being weird for the other girls.
I felt like that was just weird. That was the only thing that I felt. I don't care how it was justified or anything. I'm not, and you know that I don't complain about this stuff, but it's just because of how young they were that it made it really uncomfortable and just creepy. I don't know how old they were meant to be, but no.
Teenagers, definitely teenagers. Like, they had to be driven around. So in America, that's like under 16.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just a bit disturbing.
And it was just, I mean, like, so the argument basically being that because of what happened in her past, she wears lots of layers of clothes, and so when they take off the layers throughout the film, the other girls basically are just in their underwear by the end, and she's still wearing a proper shirt. That was the kind of quote-unquote explanation for it. But again, yeah, like you said, all the stuff that you said, it was creepy. And also, coming back to the point that the guy explains, I was created because he needed someone to clean, like he needed someone to keep order. What part of that also needs him to be, like, attracted to underage girls? What part of that was like, I need someone that fills this gap. You know, I need, like, you don't say someone like, I need a cleaner that's also sexually attracted to this thing. Like, that's not a part. That's not just. It was.
It's just, and it's not even from a story point of view. I just mean from a filmmaking point of view. Why did that need to be there?
Yeah. Well, it got more and more ridiculous. Like, the jumper's dirty. You can't get that back. Why can't they wash it and give it back? They were there for like days.
It's like the Transformers 4 thing, where they made the girl underage.
Oh,
and then had that bit to explain why it's okay, and it's like, why not just not make her underage? I just don't understand why this needed to be in the film at all. It was just unsettling, especially when the film seems to be trying to say something about sexual abuse. At the same time, it's kind of forcing that down.
I get what you mean with that. Yeah.
Because as much as you want to justify it as a story thing, you know that it's kind of there as a, I don't want to say a selling point, but it's it's very uncomfortable to talk about. And then it is like the message of the film is borderline like, if you're abused, it just makes you stronger.
Yeah.
It builds character.
That's the thing, is that I don't get the people that say that this is a brilliant M. Night film again. Because like you said, when you bring it down to the core message, it's just as stupid as some of his other films that people pick on just as much. There's nothing that makes this point better, because it's just ridiculous, and like you said, it's basically hypocritical within itself because of how it treats its characters.
I think it's just that things like The Happening, The Visit, what are the ones? The Last Airbender, at least, and After Earth.
What's the one with the lake? The Lady
in the Water is a little bit different. I'm talking about these four specifically. Were all stupid, but they also had bad performances. Whereas Split, I think James McAvoy helps you forget how stupid some of it is, and you go, it must be smart because he's too good for this to be stupid.
I think the moment I knew that it wasn't going to be as good as people were saying, like, it wasn't like all the way. For the beginning, I thought this is good, but it's not amazing, incredible. But I'm on board with it.
No, I never thought it was amazing.
Then the first kind of therapist scenes came up, and I was like, they're not as, like, they're a bit preachy. They're a bit more standard M. Night stuff, but I'll maybe it gets better. And then the moment his cameo came up, I hated that. That was when I knew that he hadn't changed at all.
Have you seen Lady in the Water?
No, I haven't.
Do you know what he is in Lady in the Water? Do you know his part
I know
in that film?
That he is basically... So the gist that I've heard from other people is that he's basically he's like a screenwriter, and the critics really hate him, even though he's brilliant, and then he has to write something to save the world.
And like there's a character who comes up to him and goes, they don't understand you right now, but one day everyone will look back at your work and they'll know how genius you were.
So he's like Shakespeare.
And the weirdest part of that is that was before people started hating him. So people did understand his work. I don't even know like at that point he was like a critical darling. I don't even know why that's a thing. Yeah, his cameo in this was awkward. And then Bruce Willis's cameo was even more awkward, because less awkward for me, because I've seen Unbreakable. But if I hadn't seen Unbreakable, I would have been like, what the fuck is happening?
Which I hadn't. I didn't know, like, when it got to that diner scene, I was just sat there thinking, okay. I just thought it was a reference to how Bruce Willis used to be in his films, and it was like a thing basically saying the boys are back, like, we're partnering up again for a sequel. Or something like that, and I thought maybe like Mr. Glass was some famous split personality person that I hadn't heard of in the past, or something. I had no idea what the connection was, and then it was the fact that it was like the final scene. When I reviewed it, that was even before I knew that it was Unbreakable still. So when I say I hate that films do this, I was comparing it to recent horror films like, not Lights Out, the other one, Don't Breathe. At the end, it kind of ruins it with just saying, there's a sequel coming.
Yeah.
And I just thought, why do you need to put that at the very end?
Yeah.
Just let it happen. Just let it end.
And the thing is, I don't mind the idea. It is kind of cool. If I was a fan of Unbreakable, I would have been like, oh, cool. Because it is a neat-ish idea. Like, oh, it was a surprise sequel all along. But the problem is, so many people haven't seen Unbreakable. And it's a film that people have forgotten. And I think it's borderline arrogant to assume that everyone's going to understand what's happening.
I do think it's arrogant, because it's not like it's a thing that's in the public eye all the time. Like, if something was... Like, with Cloverfield Lane, that's probably the closest example I can probably think of. They didn't wait until it came out to say it's a Cloverfield sequel. They said it's in the title.
Yes.
Like, and I don't think you have to call this Unbreakable 2. It's just the fact that it's not like it's a post-credit scene or something like that, which I don't like that that's a thing with the superhero genre. It's not a thing that needed to be not only just in the film, but at the very end of the film. It's because you couldn't just put in Bruce Willis at some point in the middle of the film, because then people that don't know the film are confused.
Yeah.
And then people that do know Unbreakable are just thinking the whole time, oh, so now this is going to connect into Unbreakable even more. But basically, it just should have been. It should have either not been there at all, or post credits or something.
Or been an Easter egg.
Yeah, if it was like a thing that you could find on the Blu-ray or DVD, that'd be even cooler. But you don't get the press for that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get the big shock of one Shyamalan fan like reviewing it and then going, "Oh my god, it's amazing," because of this one twist at the end, which I know people love that twist. Fans of him.
Yes. And I would say that if it was a different film, I might have loved the twist too.
So you would like it if it was a sequel to The Happening?
I would have genuinely loved it if that was the twist. I'd have applauded that. But what I mean is just such a sort of weird film to make your like long-touted sequel to and assume everyone's going to lose their shit over it. I don't know. It just feels very bizarre to assume that you can like have this as your last minute reveal and everyone's gonna lose their shit. And I know some people have, but I was in the cinema and a lot of people did go, "What?"
Yeah.
And I heard them go, "What?" So, and I've seen Unbreakable and I understood the twist. I just didn't care. I like the idea of like a surprise sequel twist, but this feels like such a bizarre choice, and it feels like you've done it with such a weird film as well. Like you've made a psychological thriller, and then it's a superhero origin. Who knew?
I don't know if I'm just against it because I just don't know the film. Like I don't know if I did know the film, I'd be much more for it or something like that. But it's just. Like you said, it just feels arrogant, and it just feels like it's not needed to make the film any better.
And I do like that, because I do kind of want to see an Unbreakable 2 with this guy as the villain, because it would be nice to have a superhero film with a villain that I know. So that's cool, but it is arrogant. I think that's the word that sums up how I feel about it. It's just arrogant.
Yeah.
In general, I think the last third of this film did kind of lose quite a lot of points for me, because it's not only the rushed sci-fi elements, not only that arrogant twist, but then there was the sort of semi-twist that it was all in a zoo.
Yeah, that was confusing as well. I don't get how that's a twist.
Yeah, exactly. It was you agree it was presented like it was a twist, right?
Yeah.
But apart from the fact that we now know that, he put the beast is an amalgamation of animals in the zoo, what difference does it make? Like, it just made me go, okay, it's a zoo. I felt like I was missing something. I felt like it was me. So I'm glad to know that you agree, because I felt like I just missed something important that made that zoo thing an amazing reveal, instead of just, okay, it's a zoo.
I felt like they were trying to make some comparison to his like personalities with it. Like, as in, it was some kind of message for like why he like gets along with animals or something like that, or the different personalities represent different animals or something. But it wasn't explained. It was just basically like at the very end, she got carried out of a zoo, and that's it. Like maybe the whole time I was supposed to be thinking, "Ooh, where can you get a basement with cages?" Like, I'm supposed to be pondering over the different types of buildings you could possibly hide it.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it's a building. I didn't really give any thought to that. There are a few little bits and pieces that make sense a bit more. Like, there's a bit where Patricia's talking to the main girl about lions and some other animal, and they have a conversation about an animal, and it's quite scientific and in-depth. And I was like, okay, so that he knows about lions or tigers or whatever animal it was because he worked at the zoo. And then I guess that walkie-talkie that she tries to call for help on was going through to the security guards in the zoo. Like, that was the frequency that was who she was talking to when she was on the walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
But that's not a twist. That's just a little bit more information that I have now.
Yeah, and when it was I get that point with the animals, definitely. But it's the fact that if it was just any industrial building, you'd talk over walkie-talkies. It didn't make me instantly go,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, it could be a zoo." It just made me think. So he
No.
works in an industrial place. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just a walkie-talkie. I liked it as like a basically almost like a key, like a thing that the protagonist has to get to in order to get out.
Yes.
But as a aiding of this twist, air quotes, no point at all.
No, I was just it just confused me. I spent the last 2 minutes of the film thinking through the film to see if there's something that now was in a new light, but instead of focusing on what was going on, I was just sat there going, nope, nope.
Yeah.
It's just a zoo. It's just a zoo. Any positives? What did you think of the cinematography? Because I know you kept mentioning to me that it was the It Follows man.
Yeah, I liked the cinematography. Like, it genuinely had some good stuff. I think the shots that I remember most are just the corridor shots, because they just managed to do like they're like wide angle, but they're kind of imposing, like as they track down the corridors, and I think that was quite good for building the tension. And I remember as well, like when with the final chase, the bit where it's the final corridor and there's like the lights going out as he crawls around, and that was it was the reminiscent of like the hallway in It Follows, like the little tension building moments. I think was where the cinematography really paid off. But I think again it was just another case of it was the first decent cinematography that he's had in a long time, and so it was instantly better than any of his past stuff.
Yeah, that was the best part of the monster segment of the film.
Yeah.
So I think overall it seems like we basically agree. We've talked a lot about James McAvoy. The rest of the performances were fine.
Yeah, I mean,
they were fine.
Thought she was decent, but I think decent's where I'd draw the line. not
exactly,
like in a negative way, just like nothing to push you over the edge.
That's it. It's a good performance with some good ideas, but just let down by M. Night isms and a running streak of arrogance, and also I think like hypocrisy in terms of its like weird message that it thinks it's saying. Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6.
Yeah,
I think a 6 is where I'd go, and that's a shame because I think there was potential for higher than 6, but I guess I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree with you on the 6. I didn't leave it thinking, God, this is crap. I just left thinking that's disappointing that it wasn't better, especially after the way that people talked about it.
That's it. The standards are just so low for him now.
Yeah,
that anything that isn't mind-numbingly incompetent.
Cool. And what were the news stories that you wanted to talk about?
Did you see so obviously, at least since we last did this, Ben Affleck said he's not going to be directing the Batman. And some people reacted like that was news, but I was never under the impression that he was directing the Batman. It was more just that people wanted him to. But I'd never heard him actually say that he was going to do it in the first place. But obviously they then drew up like a shortlist, potential candidates to actually direct it. And have you seen who's doing it?
No.
Like DC said it.
No.
Matt Reeves. Yay! I love me my Matt Reeves.
See, I would have thought you'd be a bit disappointed by that. Not because
Why?
of the director, but because it's kind of attaching... he's attaching himself to a sinking ship.
He could be the one that saves the sinking ship.
No. It's like he showed up to like save the Titanic in a dinghy.
But isn't the Batman the only one that we do have faith in at this point?
That's true, but also it's not that I don't have faith in the material, it's that I don't have faith in the studio and the studio intervention and the making it into a universe thing. Like, if any of the directors that I liked, this goes with Marvel as well, like if any of the directors that I liked suddenly announced they were going to do a Marvel film, I'd be disappointed, because it's not so much that I dislike Marvel films especially, it's just that I'd rather just that they do more of the stuff that I know I like, and either that's original or just a different franchise or something like that, like the ones where
are you saying you want more
to a mold.
Are you saying that you want all of the Marvel films to be made by Peyton Reed?
I would.
You want
I would
Yes
rather
Men?
actually yes. I want all of those films to be made by Peyton Reed because then I know that I don't have to see them anymore. That would be really great.
You want Peyton Reed's The Batman?
Oh yeah. See, even if they're to do the Batman stuff, all the stuff that they've already had, he's been given a bad hand right from the start. The
Yes.
only good thing he has going is that he has Ben Affleck, which at best I find decent. Like even in like Gone Girl, I just say like he's good, he's all right. Like he does the job. I know. I do like Matt Reeves as a blockbuster director over most, and so that makes me hopeful for the film. Although I just wish that I'd rather see something different from him. That's the thing.
No, I get that. Oh, did you see the Infinity War thing?
Yes, yeah, I did.
That was it.
Yeah.
And what did you think of that press release?
I liked that it wasn't just another thing where they just put up a picture that said filming now, and then there are like 50 articles about how they're filming now. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, they're filming. No film has ever done that before. That's what, at least they actually like announced something with it, and they had like a little mini documentary with it. I liked that. I mean, it was just all right. I knew they were going to do it anyway. It was just all information I already knew.
Yeah. It's weird though when they were talking about it. They said that like this has been something we've been building up towards since 2008, and I just realised we've been having MCU movies every year for nearly 10 years now.
Yeah. Well, while everyone's called out the superhero bubble for as long as they've started them now, I think that this final 2 films or 1 film or whatever, it will either be the peak or it will show that we've already hit the peak. You know what I mean? Avengers was massive. Like the first Avengers, massive. Second, not so much. Civil War, much better, but not hitting that same high as Avengers. I think the only thing that could top that first Avengers now is this Infinity War thing. If
Unless Guardians is really popular.
Guardians, Guardians are different because it's the one of the few where it's not just getting the regular superhero crowd, it's also getting people that just like comedies as well. Because I think that it hit a lot larger audience than their usual stuff because it was so funny. Yeah, I don't think Guardians 2 could hit the same heights as what they're hoping with Infinity War.
Well, this was the other last quick thing I wanted to mention, and I know that Ben shared this with us, but David Gordon Green and Danny McBride are working on the Halloween reboot.
I think it was only a few hours ago, just to add on to that. But it's not a remake. It's what you're saying with
a
Star
soft
Wars.
reboot.
Yeah, it's a soft reboot in that apparently it takes place after the first 2 films.
Oh, it's like Superman Returns. It's ignoring the rest happened then.
Yeah. So basically, it's going to be Jamie Lee Curtis as a person that warns a young person. I assume that's just my prediction.
Oh god, that's just confusing because Jamie Lee Curtis died in like the 8th one or whatever, and now we're just pretending that didn't happen. Are they pretending it just didn't happen?
Yeah.
Boy,
the article is just picking it. It just says picking up after the first 2 films.
Well, do you know who David Gordon Green is?
Yeah, I know that he's done some, like he did Pineapple Express, but he's also done some indie films as well.
Art house films. Yeah, proper like art house films. He has had the weirdest career trajectory of anyone. Like, he went from art house films to like you said, like Pineapple Express, to that Joe, the Nicolas Cage film, and now Halloween. What?
You can't tie him down. At least he's got an interesting career.
He must be really good at pitching. Because if he came in and said that he wanted to make Halloween, I'd be like, "You what?" He must have really floored them with that pitch.
I think they might have just literally just come in, but it just literally puts up a sign that says "existing franchise equals $signs," and then they just hold up that sign, and then the studio all nodded together.
Did you see though that John Carpenter had given some form of approval? Which, to be fair, he gave to the Fog remake and the Halloween remake, and it sounded like very begrudging approval. Like maybe someone came in and went, "You like this, don't you?" And you went, "Okay, give me the money, please."
Carpenter gave his approval by writing thanks on the check.
He said he might do the music for it, though. On social media, he said that he might do the music for it.
That'd be cool. That'd probably be my favourite thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. But at the same time, I'm not sure if a studio would want him to do it. Like, no, you got to make it sound like the Conjuring score or something. I know synths come back, but they probably want someone doing more high profile, like professional synth stuff, because John Carpenter's is quite amateurish.
Well, it's amateurish, but it's iconic. And synths are coming back, like with It Follows.
No, I know.
And some of the 80s retro stuff.
They might just hire Disaster Piece to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Instead. Or go in a completely different direction and do what they did for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like get Pharrell Williams and people on board.
Executive produced, yeah. Yeah.
Have Michael Myers have a theme that is whispering the thoughts in his head.
I just really hope we get that. What I always wanted, where I really want to know more about how he was bullied as a kid. That's what the true Halloween that I know is all about. It's all about. It's an anti-bullying film.
You know the Friday the 13th reboot got shut down this week as well.
I didn't know they were going for that again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like just another one, but it's got shut down this week. But the thing is, I remember when it was supposed to be coming out in like February or whatever, and it feels like they've shut it down quite close to when it's supposed to come out, because I think their new plan was to release it in October or whatever. But initially, like only a few months ago, it was supposed to be coming out around now, and then they've just said we cancelled it. It feels like they were just dicking around for a lot of this time, and then went, "Oh, fuck it, I don't care anymore." I've
just looked up the article now that you were talking about. The current bet is that it's because of how badly Rings did.
Oh, really? What's that got to do with anything?
Because it's it made $13 million on a $25 million budget.
But what's that got to do with Friday the 13th?
Well, I suppose maybe it's just the fact that they're both older franchises that are being brought back again for a sequel. Like, and it's just
but they're
proving
completely different.
It's not my point. It's the article's point. Don't blame me. It was my point if it was a good point.
It's just like, that's like if the Magnificent Seven remake failed, they just cancelled making the next Star Wars. It just feels like, what? Where did you connect those dots? Like,
yeah, I can see where you're coming from that, but it's to be honest, when have studios ever acted completely logically? No,
that's true. I know that when I first heard about this, when they first announced they were doing another Friday the 13th, it was going to be found footage. And they said they were going to reinvent Jason Voorhees as like an urban legend Slender Man type figure.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like a horror vlogger or something like that, where he vlogs as he's killing people. Like he's got a GoPro on the hockey mask.
He still gets sponsored by Loot Crate, actually. What's the other one? Squarespace. That's the other one they're all sponsored by. I would watch it if it was just Jason talking about Squarespace for 2 minutes.
I would definitely watch that.
But yeah, they were talking about it being found footage. For fuck knows why. I thought that was dead, but apparently not.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper to make. That's the main selling point of found footage. No one does it. But for when was the last
successful one? When was the last successful found footage film? Like truly successful.
Was Unfriended not successful? And I know what you mean, truly successful. But I mean, made profit.
No, Unfriended made a profit, but Friend Request then came along and totally.
That's not found footage, but still.
No, I'm saying Friend Request came along and made Unfriended look like a piece of shit. That's on Sky now. It's the premiere this week.
What, for Friend Request?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'll remember to not go on that channel. I'll remember to continue not going on that channel.
It's like a year old now. It's like a year since we saw that horrible thing.
Oh, yeah, it probably has been. Yeah.
Oh god! Wait, which was the? I know it was Pride, Prejudice and Zombies, where it was introduced by the actors looking like they didn't want to be there.
Yeah, that was February as well, because I feel like it was around Valentine's for some reason. That was very awkward, but I wish that we could find the footage for that. Just because
For people,
it was so awkward.
so before the film started, there was like a shot of a couple of the cast members stood looking like absolutely like they had a gun to their head. Like, yeah, and I can't remember exactly how it went, but one of them went like, "We hope you enjoy it," and the other one just stared. like I could just picture if it was like a bigger thing, like someone doing one of those edits where it just zooms in on her face. Like, it was so awkward because then it hung for a few seconds afterwards, like just them looking at you. That was good. That was better than the film.
I don't get why some of these... It's a thing that I've noticed with some of these promos. Well, they'll just hang for like 2 seconds after the words have been said.
Yeah.
Like, because they thought, oh, if we cut too quickly, it's weird. But it's weirder if you're staring at the person. Just, like, holding the microphone blankly. Because you can tell that they're just stood in a room. For me, it takes me out of the promo. It just makes me think that these people are standing in an empty studio silently. Just, like, waiting to go for the next take, and they're just standing there.
It is interesting that Rings died, though, because, you know, people eat up this shit. I just expected morons to go see it anyway.
Well, I thought as well, because it's generally a time of year where horror films do quite well, because it's just...
Yeah.
There's nothing really else on. In America, I mean, there's nothing really else on, because all the Oscar films have gone out.
Yeah.
It's terrible weather, so you can't go out and enjoy life. You've got to go to a cinema if you want to do something. And generally, bad reviews don't stop horror fans from seeing the newest horror thing.
Especially if it's a pre-established franchise like this.
So maybe we're seeing a turn for the better.
I hope so, yeah. Oh, I did see Corin Hardy, who made The Hallow, you know, the film that me and Ben like. He's now making The Nun, which is a Conjuring spin-off. So you know how the Lights Out guy went and made a promising film and then was like, I'll do an Annabelle sequel. And now Corin Hardy's doing this. They just get the promising horror directors and go like, no, you will assimilate into our indistinguishable block of Conjuring spin-offs.
Great. Just great.
Yeah, I know, right? It's great. The It Follows guy will be doing it next. He'll be like doing a spin-off of one of the creepy dolls that you see in the background of The Nun.
Yeah, the thing is that I feel like it's definitely... With Lights Out, it was even different because he was actually doing it with Blumhouse. I feel like with the Colin Hardy thing, it can be a thing where they say, you've joined the company, make this one cash cow film, basically. You get to make a film still, you get creative control, but it's tied to a thing that we know will succeed anyway, or we know it will make money, and if it gets better reviews than average or something, like if you proved you're a good director with our branding or whatever, then you can make something original. It's more like an introduction, like to the company.
Yeah.
But with that Lights Out guy, he got introduced with an original thing. Like he's already broken.
He's going backwards. His next film is just his next film will be a short film, and then his film after that will be a music video, and then he'll make YouTube videos, and then after that he'll just make student films. He's Benjamin Buttoning his career.
While I never saw The Hallow, even though you guys recommended it. I still have not seen it, but I know that both of you guys really enjoyed it, and so it's a shame to see someone going from something interesting to something very predictable. But I mean,
yeah,
if it proves well for him getting a bigger career out of this, because The Hallow was not seen by a lot of people, it'd be good to see if he gets a bit more recognition from the general crowds, and if anything, it might lead more people to the more general, like the US audience, to see that film.
I just wish it was like the people. What if the person who made Darling gets roped into Blumhouse?
People really love that film. A lot of people really like that film, and it hurts.
40 minutes before the first event happens, and it's a phone call.
It's the same people that call Oscar films boring. It's the same audience,
and
it's just because something is loud and tries to scare you does not mean it's smarter.
I think it would be great if in the middle of Fences the music just went just that would have made them like Fences, and it cut to heavy metal. I'd see Fences then.
I never remember how to wrap up these things until we get to it.
All I know is that while you're wrapping it up, I spend the entire time thinking of how I'm going to say bye-bye this time. So...
You can watch any of our reviews on the YouTube channel. We have lots of different... we cover basically most of the big films with shorter reviews than this. We also have Split on there if you want to hear my spoiler-free thoughts on that. What else? The podcast comes out. You can hear this on iTunes as well as the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, Harrison is now doing the kind of time codes in the bottom, so you can skip to chapters. And yeah, that's just about everything I have to... we're on all the social media. Twitter, Facebook, whatever you use your life using. Right, thank you very much for listening. And bye. I'll leave you to Harrison.
Bye! That was the best I had this time.
You just sounded like a very small balloon dying.
I was thinking, but everything I thought of I'd either done or didn't have the confidence to pull off. So...
What do you mean you don't have the confidence to pull off saying
like
goodbye?
A lot of them were outside my vocal. No, they're outside my vocal
okay.
range. I was gonna try like
You're trying to
something
hit A sharp.
cheaper, but
okay.
or impressions or something, but I can't do them. So
the thing is, you can't do an impression with one word, because one word you just end up sounding like you're just doing an accent or something.
I could have done an accent. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I got. That's all I got for you.
Great. Okay, bye again.